Hello everyone, welcome back. So we will now look at the practical example of hypothesis testing. We will perform hypothesis testing in Python environment. So here we have imported all the relevant packages. All of these packages are from previous notebooks. One thing new that you will notice here is scipy.stats import t-test and t. T we are not going to use, but yeah, we will use t-test underscore ind. And if you don't know about t-test, it is very similar to z-test, but when you don't know population standard deviation, we use t-test because we need to calculate standard deviation of the sample, and the formula is a little bit different. So you don't really have to worry about the formula and stuff because you're not going to calculate it by hand. And also one more thing you need to keep in mind is when the sample size is less than 30, it is advisable to use t-test, but when the sample size is greater than 30, then you can still use z-test. But in most of the cases I would suggest always to use t-test because it is more accurate. If you want to read more, I have made a LinkedIn post, so here you can go and you can read a little bit more about it for more clarity. So with that being said, let's move on to the problem at hand. So we are using Boston dataset, and from Boston dataset we are using two columns. So the first one is PT ratio and the next one is median value. So PT ratio is nothing but pupil teacher ratio. So the lower the ratio, the better. And median value is the median value of a particular house, and this is in thousands. Now we will follow the steps which we discussed earlier in the slides. So first we need to choose the test statistics. So here we are going to use mean of the high pupil teacher ratio and low pupil teacher ratio. So what we will do is we have first taken the median of PT ratio, and we have divided it into two samples. One is low PT ratio and the other one is high PT ratio. So those were the two samples. Now we will state the hypothesis. Same price for high PT ratio and low PT ratio. So our hypothesis is the price of the houses with low PT ratio and high PT ratio will be same, and alternate hypothesis will be different price for high PT ratio and low PT ratio. So as we discussed earlier in one tailed and two tailed section, that whenever you have not equal to sign or different or something like that, where you are not sure whether it is greater than or less than, we do two tailed test. So from this you can say that this is a two tailed test. And after that, in third step, we will choose the significance level. So significance level is 0.05, and now we will perform the test. So here I have divided our data set into two different samples. So one is greater than median and the other one is less than median. So high PTR is the sample where PT ratio is higher than the median of the whole data set's PT ratio, and low PTR is the sample with the PT ratio less than or equal to the PT ratio or the median of PT ratio of the whole data frame. So these are the two samples we have. So this is a two sample t-test. Now I will perform t-test. So to perform t-test, you just need to use this function t-test underscore ind, and you need to pass your two samples. And now that we are doing two-tailed test, so there is another optional parameter which is alternative, which takes values as two-sided, less or greater. So by default the value is two-sided, so that's why I'm not giving anything. But if you want to do one tail test, so if you want to do less than or greater than, in that case you will have to specify that, so do keep in mind. So this one returns two values. One is the t value and the other one is going to be p value. And I have printed both the values here. We can see that t is equal to minus 12.3281 and p value is almost 0. So if we compare it with our significance level, which is 0.05, p value is less than significance level. So here we can conclude that p value is 0. which is less than significance level, which is 0.05. Hence we reject the null hypothesis and say that there is a difference between price for high pupil teacher ratio and low pupil teacher ratio. So this is how you can do two-tailed test, and also to see the difference between the mean of high PTR and low PTR, you can simply do high PTR square bracket PT ratio dot mean, and you can actually see the difference between the means of these two samples, and from that you will get even a clearer picture. So that's how you can perform two-tailed tests. As for your task, I would suggest you to do hypothesis test to verify whether the houses in locations where pupil teacher ratio is low has lower or higher price as compared to locations with a high pupil teacher ratio. So from this you can say that this is going to be one tail test. So this is going to be your task, and this is it what I wanted to discuss in this section. I hope now you have understood hypothesis testing in a much better way, and now you know how to perform hypothesis test given a problem or a data set. So yeah, see you in the next one. Happy learning.